Welcome everyone to another video, and in this video we're going to be featuring a team from Driftblim, not the Pokemon, the trainer. I'll link their Twitter handle below. Great trainer. They post a lot of great content, a lot of really fun teams. And this team that they shared on Twitter is the triple counter variant. They did want me to shout out Wallower, who's the original OG triple counter user. In this case, the triple counter in this case is going to be Defense Deoxys with Psycho Boost and Thunderbolt, Poliwrath, Shadow Poliwrath with counter Icy Wind and Scald, probably one of the strongest Pokemon in the meta, and then Vigoroth, one of the safest Pokemon in the meta, despite Poliwrath's dominance. Overall, I went 19-6 with 5 positive sets, climbing on the cusp of the leaderboard. We'll see if I make it based off the next update. But I climbed like 180 points, ran right past veteran, and I'm almost knocking on the door of expert, which I hopefully will hit over the next few days. So I'm going to show off 2 sets here. And we're going to have Defense Deoxys into Alolan Sandslash. This team absolutely loves Alolan Sandslash. So they will come into Azumarill, which is totally fine here. So a little trick here is that you want to throw 9 count when Azumarill switches in right off the lead. You want to throw 9 counters. You might say, well, 9's on alignment with the bubbles. But the thing is that the switch them coming in costs a turn. So you're actually throwing right before the end of their 6th bubble, which is a very efficient time. They actually throw the Hydro Pump at me. So I will throw 7 and then throw the Thunderbolt at them. We're going to see what they're going to do here. I'm going to immediately swap into Poliwrath because I need to bait out. If there is something that's strong against my 2 counter users in the back, I do need to bait out. Ends up being a Sableye. And I am going to throw the Ice Wind. They make a very nice catch onto a Alolan Sandslash. It would have been even nicer if it would have been if I would have thrown the Icy Wind. But unfortunately for them, this is absolutely game over. I'm going to go ahead and throw the Icy Wind just to debuff them. Both my Pokemon in the back can handle Sableye pretty well, so I'm not too concerned here. And the opponent decides to top left and leave the match. Obviously, my team was very strong. Defense Deoxys is very strong against the Alolan Sandslash Azumarill core. So that worked out pretty well for me. And then as well, like Alolan Sandslash just has nowhere to go versus this team. And we pick up another Alolan Sandslash lead. I promise you this is not all Alolan Sandslash. They come into Poliwrath. Poliwrath is a tricky Pokemon for me to deal with. So I will throw the Thunderbolt. I will make it to the Psycho Boost before they can get 2 moves to KO, but you'll see how much ridiculous damage the Scald does to Defense Deoxys. So I will not get debuff, which is very fortunate for me. I'm going to go ahead and dump this Psycho Boost, which will be enough to take out the Shadow Poliwrath, and I will switch into my own Poliwrath. I won't shield, even though this Scald will do quite a bit of damage. I'm hoping for no debuff. It does a ridiculous amount of damage despite resisted. I am able to counter down. I'm curious what they're going to come in with. And let's see what they decide to come in with. And they come in with the Powder Snow Alolan Sandslash. This is not Shadow, though. Does a lot of damage, and they come into Chestnut. Unfortunately for them, I have a Vigoroth, which doesn't do the best versus Chestnut, but it does really nice neutral damage here, and there's really no way for them to win. They do win CMP versus my Vigoroth, but 2 body slams will be enough. It's very likely that they throw a Frenzy Plane here, but it doesn't really matter. I have 2 shields. As long as I don't no shield the superpower, this is basically game over here. And not really too much the opponent can do at this stage. I'm going to go ahead and shield. And they do throw the superpower, and I'm going to be able to easily counter them down. I would counter down the Alolan Sandslash as well. Even if they land a move, it wouldn't be enough to take out my Vigoroth. So 2 really positive leads and 2 water types that really don't handle Defense Deoxys very well. Yeah, so it worked out pretty nicely for me. I'm going to go ahead and skip away to the next match here. We're going to have Defense Deoxys into Lanturn. Kind of a tricky lead here. Lanturn does win the 0 shield. And I do want to make sure that they don't catch. I think I actually misplayed this one here. I can't remember. There's also a shiny variant here. So I will do 1 counter, wait to see the spark, just to make sure that they don't catch this on something else like a Gligar or Swampert or whatever, right? And then here I miscounted there, but that's okay. Uh, but you'll see this back line is absolutely brutal for me. They actually come into Buzzwole here, right? Who says such a Buzzwole? That's kind of crazy here. Um, but obviously is very terrible for me. There's not really too much I can do. Buzzwole resist counter from both my Pokemon here. Um, really not much too much I can do here. I will shield here, and then I will bank the body slam, but not really too much I can do here. I don't expect them to superpower. I do expect them just to straight lunge me, but Shadow Poliwrath, not the tankiest Pokemon, as you can see, the lunge did quite a bit of damage. I will throw the Icy Wind. It's actually not going to be enough to take out this Buzzwole, so probably would have been better for me to throw the Scald. As you can see, they almost counter me down, and they are going to be able to easily spark me down, unfortunately. And then they come into Poliwrath. I will throw the Body Slam. I mostly want to throw the Body Slam just to see how much the Body Slam would do to Poliwrath, but they decide to shield, which makes total sense on their side. No point in risking it, though there's not really any move that Vigoroth knows that could one-shot a Poliwrath at that health. But I'm always trying to like pick up new information, especially since these are teams that like constantly change. I don't play the same team a lot. And we're gonna go Defense Deoxys and Jellicent. This is certainly one of the core breakers for the team. And this player was so patient here. I'm attempting to catch the Shadow Ball. They don't let me catch. They throw the Surf, which is fine for me. And I'm curious what they're gonna come in with. They will come in with a Clefable. I will throw the Body Slam at the Clefable. And I actually got denied there, which is very weird. I was very I don't quite understand that. I will throw the Body Slam, and I think they got denied back there. It's very weird because I didn't see the movie. It wasn't CMP. Actually, yeah, wasn't CMP. This, or unless they waited there, I'm not quite sure. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and double up on this Body Slam, and we will see what the opponent is going to do here. They actually decide to let it go, and then I tried to catch here again. Man, this player is so patient with their timing here, and they in here they make what in my opinion a little bit of a mistake. Well, maybe not a mistake here. I throw the Scald. I don't want this Jellicent to farm because I think that's my lose con. But I also don't want to get hit by a Body Slam, so I wait till we simul KO. And then they come into their Jellicent because that's their last Pokemon. I have two Pokemon here. And you'll see Defense Deoxys. This is why they call it Defense Deoxys. Never dies. You see, I'm going to throw the Thunderbolt at them. Unfortunately, I'm not able to get out. And then they're going to try to hex me down here. And I only have one realistic win con here, which is to make it to the Thunderbolt. I really shouldn't be able to get off that Thunderbolt, but I do. And then, actually, I survived that hex there. So, and then I will throw the Rock Slide. I should have switched and threw the Rock Slide right away, because if they would have blind thrown the Surf there, I would have lost. But, so, well played game on my side. Very well played game on their side. Slight misplay on my side, not throwing the Rock Slide right away, because if they would have blind throw the Surf, then I would have lost there. But that worked out pretty well for me. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at this next team here, which is gonna be, we love Bastiodon. Anything double weak counter, you absolutely love it. They come into Shadow Vic. The key to winning this particular matchup is to throw as late as possible, because you want to make sure you're not debuffing your counters too early. So I will do 3 more and then throw the Psycho Boost here. Technically, I did 1 more counter, I would have been at 98 energy, but here I'm at 91. And then here I'm going to double up and then throw. As you can see, my Defense Deoxys just barely survives here. This the Psycho Boost is twice debuffed, but because my counter damage got debuffed almost as late as possible, this allows me to get the move off here. And I'm going to immediately swap into Poliwrath. No point in me staying and getting farmed down. And the opponent makes a nice play here. Actually, I don't know here. I thought I waited here. Yeah, but that's fine though. I get them debuffed, and then I'm just gonna counter them all the way down. Um, Bastiodon really has nothing for Poliwrath. Poliwrath is one of the hardest counters, probably the hardest counter. Is there like a harder counter to Bastiodon than Poliwrath? Resists all the moves, plus deals major double super effective damage, and then I'm gonna be able to easily counter down, and then I'm gonna be able to land the Icy Wind onto this Trevenant, which they just barely survive, and I'm gonna be able to land another Icy Wind to take them out. Even if they took me out, I would be able to counter them down with Vigoroth here. So worked out very well for me. Uh, if they would have switched in Trev, it definitely would have been a trickier game there. But worked out perfectly fine for me. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this next match here. We're going to have Defense Deoxys into Swampert. I am just going to Psycho Boost and then Bail into Poliwrath. Get some nice damage or the shield. And they do have enough energy here for the Earthquake, so I will shield. If they bait me here, it's a little bit unfortunate because they actually come into Skarmory. And this is actually a pretty decent matchup for me, just because Skarmory Steel Wings are resisted by Poliwrath, and the counters are neutral. As you can see, the counters are really adding up. No debuff on my side, but that doesn't really matter too much. I'm going to be able to easily counter down this Skarmory, and I will be able to take it out. And interesting here, they came Skarmory even though they actually had the Charge-a-Bug here. So Charge-a-Bug definitely would be a harder answer to Poliwrath since it does resist the counters. I'm going to switch out into Vigoroth, and I'm going to keep waiting here. And they tried to make the catch onto Charge-a-Bug, but fortunately for me, I was waiting for the Volt Switch. So I do throw the Body Slam. I'm going to easily counter down this Swampert, and not really too much they can do here. I think I would survive the next X Scissor here, but I thought there's no point in risking it, so I will throw the Rock Slide on alignment here because I know they have the X Scissor. Could have got a couple extra counters here, but they actually decide to undercharge here, I think, or they just gave up. I'm not sure which one it was. I think they decide to give up here, realizing that there's not too much of a win con there at that stage. Especially since my Defense Deoxys was too healthy, and as well my Poliwrath still had some health there. So this team was a counter is just ridiculously powerful, and as well, like not a lot of people are running Gligar, which even the whole team has like slight play versus Gligar. So Lanturn kind of annoying matchup here. They do need a Thunderbolt and a Surf because the spark damage is enough to do enough to take it out. So they do throw on alignment. This is enough for the Thunderbolt. We will see what they're going to throw here. We'll do one counter or two counters, then I wait there. As you can see, like the slight like hesitation there, just to make sure I see the spark. And then I will throw the Psycho Boost right away. And then we'll see how we're going to play this. And they throw right before I make it to the Psycho Boost. I guess maybe they were worried that I was gonna get alignment there or counter them down. They come into Sandslash. This is actually really good for me, and I will just straight up counter this down. I'm not gonna shield. This Sandslash does a decent amount of damage, but because it's Shadow Claw, the fast moves do absolutely no damage, and I can easily counter down this Lanturn because it is fairly low, and they come into Gligar. And I'm in a pretty decent spot here, so I'm just going to throw another Body Slam. And then I'm going to force this Gligar to throw or make it to a third Body Slam. And a third Body Slam would do a decent amount of damage. So I will throw this Body Slam. I do have to switch here because I don't know if I'll make it to another one. Maybe I would. But I'm just going to switch here. I will shield. This is Shadow on Shadow, so they release would actually do a pretty decent amount of damage, plus it's super effective. And then I shield. Now here I have to make sure that they don't catch. So I wait for the wing attack, and then I throw the Icy Wind. And then I take out the Gligar. And then I'm going to be able to easily counter down the Lanturn. So that worked out pretty nicely for me. Yeah, this team was super strong. I'm a big fan of Defense Deoxys. I think it's just it's a very tanky Pokemon, but definitely has like some like technical gameplay in terms of how you play it. So um, Dragonite lead, kind of weird here. I will let this go. It does do a decent amount of damage, but just a Dragon Claw. And I switched into, you know what? I switched into Poliwrath just because I thought it was gonna be a Vigoroth. Ends up being a Lickitung, which is definitely would be better to go Vigoroth into the Lickitung. But what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna shield and counter this thing all the way down. And then I will have tons of energy here. So I'm waiting to see what they come in with. Ends up being what I wasn't sure if it was Defense Deoxys or Cresselia. But I throw the Scald. They actually end up shielding. I'm going to build up a little bit of energy, then throw another Scald since their Psycho Cuts are debuffed. And they actually come into Dragonite. Unfortunately for them, I had farmed up some extra energy versus the Cresselia, and I'm able to make it to the Icy Wind. They actually decide to no shield here. And then instead of getting farmed down here, I'm just going to immediately swap. They are no longer debuffed, but there's not really too much they can do at this point in time. They need 2 moves to KO my Vigoroth, a Grass Knot and a Moonblast, or in this case, they actually had Future Sight. And the Future Sight lands. The next Body Slam would KO anyway, so it doesn't really matter here. And the opponent decides to leave, despite them having a shield, just because my Defense Deoxys had quite a bit of energy already. Had a Thunderbolt banked, so worked out perfectly fine for me. So we will have Defense Deoxys into Skarmory. Kind of a weird lead, especially since they can Brave Bird and Bail. And I do want to make sure I take this thing out just because the charge moves are quite lethal to Shadow Poliwrath. No, normally I wouldn't shield there, but I thought they were gonna Brave Bird, so that's the reason why I shielded. They will reach the Brave Bird before me, so I will end up shielding this because the Brave Bird would be enough. So they do throw the Brave Bird, and they come into Dragonair. And they actually no shield this Psycho Boost, which is pretty interesting. And I'm going to try to counter this down. I'm going to try to counter this down. I'm going to be very low here. And obviously I don't have any shields left, so I will throw the Rock Slide, which will do neutral damage to the Skarmory. And I'm going to look to counter. Okay, not able to counter down, but I know they don't have a move yet, so I will counter them down. And they come into Whiscash, and I will throw the Psycho Boost, bank the other Psycho Boost, and then switch into Poliwrath. And these counters are really adding up versus this Mud Boy. And very weirdly, they decide to throw the Scald here, which they get the debuff, which is pretty nice for them. I will throw the Icy Wind because they just need to debuff their damage. Put a little bit more pressure on them. But I have the Psycho Boost banked, and there's absolutely no way they can take out my Poliwrath and bank a Mud Bomb before I get to another move. And then I will throw the Psycho Boost at the cashier. And this is going to be GG's here. The Psycho Boost is going to be enough to take out this Mud Boy. Very common core in terms of Skarmory and Mud Boy. In this case, it seems like Cash is much more popular than Swampert, which is pretty interesting. I guess cheaper ground move. I don't know if like ground is like that great of offensive typing in this meta. Maybe it is. Okay, this is a very awkward lead here. Very tough Pokemon to deal with since it does resist counter, and it's quite bulky, and they're also quite spammy. So it's gonna be able to get the moves quite quickly. They went to 99 energy. They threw the Moonblast. It will be CMP on this Psycho Boost, so I will let it go. And then I make a slight misplay here. I should have thrown the Body Slam, but But I honestly thought it was one more, but I just miscounted the energy. So I will shield. And then I will throw 5 and throw the body slam. And then if they decide to throw here, which they have the move, I'm going to switch. And they come into Gligar. And the opponent makes the right, I don't know, like they decide not to throw right away. There's no point in me shielding this, just because they're going to be able to reach the second air release before me. And unfortunately they actually decide to throw here because I think they were afraid I was going to make it to the move. If I shield here, I could take them out. I will build up to double body slam. This was like an unfortunate ending for the opponent. So I will throw on CMP. And then now I know I win CMP versus the Gligar. And they come into Dragonite. And they actually come before they bank the move, because now I'm going to be able to counter down this. I think they were hoping to catch. I'm not quite sure there. They could have just stayed, and then they would have CMP tied me on the move, and I would have to throw the Dragonite, and then they come in Clefable, right? There's not really much choice there, but me farming down the Clefable allowed me to have the win there. So worked out really nicely for me. This team was super fun to use. Shout out to Driftblim. Shout out to Waller. Let me know if you try out this team. And I was going to leave it there. If you like comment, subscribe, and I'll see everyone in the next video.